Good morning. Shawn here with Accelerators Organization, ready to do another mentor session. We've got a little bit of backup of questions. I apologize for taking so long to get to these. Our assistant, Honey, who is now overcome and conquered COVID, she's back and into the office, and so now I'm getting the questions from her. There's about 15 questions today. And so I'm really excited to get started at this. Don't forget to get into the AO portal to ask questions if you need to. Remember always that I am not the only mentor here. I'm just the founder. There are 24 other amazing mentors that have a wide variety of experience and knowledge to share with you. So don't only think about what I might say. Think about getting to know all the different mentors here in the group, okay? So let's get started. Some of these questions, people, this is their first time ever asking a question, so they got a little bit long-winded, but we're gonna get through this, all right? So here we go. The first question comes from Giuliano, and Giuliano says, how can I raise up capital to buy a business? The background is I need a mentor to guide me to raise up capital for business investments. Okay, this is a really difficult one to answer with just that much information, which is why it's really important for you to give a little bit more background on your business and the background of the question. Generally speaking, when raising money to go on an acquisition strategy, depending on how much money you have, if he's trying to raise money, that means obviously he's trying to get outside investors. So this is really complex. So I'm just gonna break it down to just kind of the high level stuff here. You're probably going to need at least 3 years of financial history in your existing business that shows profitability. You're going to need to show that you've got a really strong management team that can handle the acquisitions of bringing on new team members, because there's always a dynamic between the company that you own and the company that you're buying. The team that comes with the new company, you're going to have to fold them into your company, and that is very complex and requires a great level of leadership and team building within the business that you've already have. Probably going to need to put together a pitch deck that outlines the story and what the financial projections would be, how much money you need, how you're going to pay it back, and how you're going to structure what the investor is going to get in return. And remember, investors who traditionally invest in businesses, they're investing because they want a payout. They usually want a payoff somewhere between 5 and 7 years, and they want to make at least 7 to 10 times their money. Really important for you to have a clear path to explain how you are going to take their investment and pay them 5 to 7 times their money in about 7 years, all right? You look to your existing network for investors. If you don't have an existing network of high net worth individuals for investors, and this is your first time doing this, the best thing to do is maybe to get out there and start networking with in the Chamber of Commerce and entrepreneurial groups. Reach out to angel investment groups that are all throughout the United States. That's about all I know, man. That's a really complex question, put so simply in your question here. But I hope that helps. The next question comes from Gary Robinson, and Gary says, how do I brand my business? Okay, and then Gary goes on to write a novel that's going to take me about 3 hours to read, but let's get through this. Gary, we're going to teach you we're going to teach you about the term word economy, saying more with less words. Here we go. Hi, Shawn. First question, so bear with me. Laugh out loud. So my business has been open a year now, and I've helped 30 people change their lives so far when it comes to their health and well-being. I'm extremely passionate about helping others, as I once hit rock bottom myself when it came to my health and fitness or wellness. Depression, low moods, anxiety, I was there. And when I fixed this, I didn't want anyone else feeling that way, so that's why I'm so passionate about it. I'm a lifestyle coach. I don't count calories, weigh food, or ask people to go to the gym, which is my unique selling proposition. I have got some fantastic results with my clients, including one of my favorites, a 69-year-old woman who had very little mobility, but she still managed to drop 14 pounds in 10 weeks with me, proving that age is only a number. So I'm a bit stuck on what it is I actually do for people. I've gone back to clients and asked clients over the phone and with some questions on an email so I could get some feedback. Most of my clients came back with the below. You just have a way of getting me out of my comfort zone and helping me do things I would never have done before, like eating healthy, exercising, giving up, or cutting down on alcohol and junk food. You're able to change my mindset from not believing I can do something into believing anything is possible. You also helped a lot on how to make time for myself and put myself first so I can be happy with myself again. So I think my question is, how do I brand my business or create a one-liner so I can put this on my IG and Facebook account profile? Okay, that's kind of two questions, laugh out loud. I also have a website coming very soon, and I'm sure this would be an important aspect to have on there as well. It may seem a bit crazy, I know, but I'm being honest. I know I help people with what I have mentioned above, but how do I brand this to attract my ideal client? The description in my bio says, silencing your inner critic to achieve results in all areas of your life. I think this needs to change, ? My ideal client is a busy professional, mid 35 to 40 years of age who has at least 40 to 50 pounds of fat to lose. But I've only got a few ideal clients, and the rest of my clients were all different ages, ranging between 25 to 69. But most have the same problem, weight loss. Some came to me with no belief in themselves anymore and who needed help with their inner critic, and I got some great results with them also. Here is what I offer my clients. It's a 10-week program. For the 10 weeks, you get food guidance, exercise structure, a plan each week if needed. I figure out what they like to do and incorporate that into their lifestyle. A 1-hour coaching call with me every week, plus an email after the call with tools to help you through the process. A weekly weigh-in every weekend. Mindset work and support through WhatsApp 24/7. Thanks for your time, Shawn. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Gary. Gary, I think you just got the absolute award for the longest ever detailed background in the history of AO. Congratulations. I'll send your trophy in the mail. Okay, my advice, Gary, is this. And I know that you asked another question, and we're going to get to that later. But listen, this is part of what's being in the very beginning of a business. We have to fine-tune what is the product and service that we're offering. And if you can't clearly articulate that in 1 to 2 sentences, then it means that you really don't know exactly what it is you're doing. And that's the answer you've got to figure out, because you can't say all this to a potential client, obviously, or they're going to be thinking that you're absolutely wacko. We have to figure out how to say what we want in 1 to 2 sentences. And listen, I am not expert at that. I go to consultants who help me with my branding, because I've learned in business that if I try to do it myself, I'm going to be shooting myself in the foot because it's not my expertise. You know how to help somebody get results. So you're probably not a branding expert, right? So we have to be able to hire a branding expert in order to have them help us put together what that pitch is. You're probably talking about $2,500 to $3,000 just to get someone to help you with what's called brand strategy, which is coming up with that stuff. I mean, this is business. This is part of doing business. So if it were me and I didn't have the money, I'd go work my ass off at 1 or 2 jobs and take the 3 or 4 months that it would take to save up that much money, and then I would invest that in my business. This is just part of what we do as entrepreneurs. And so I say that's the challenge. I don't have the $2,500. I know I got to have it, so let me go find it. So it's the same type of breakthrough that you're going to have with your clients. You have to mentally say, okay, I know that that's what's needed, so I'm just going to go get the money I need for my business. This isn't uncommon in a brand new business that a small business owner doesn't have a lot of capital to invest in their business in the beginning days, which is why we have jobs. And we use the money that we make from our jobs to inject fuel, inject gas, inject capital into our business, so that our business can grow and then eventually have enough cash flow on its own to support its own self. And that's just part of the beginning, part of a journey of an entrepreneur. My next advice would be this. It would be to go through the 4 pillars training programs that I have in the portal. So go to 4 pillars icon on the main dashboard, then click on branding and watch all of the videos that I've done. I've given a clear, concise path and understanding to how to create your brand. brand strategy, brand identity, brand messaging. You can't have identity and messaging unless you have strategy. And so a lot of times we have to take a step backwards and go back to strategy to figure out what it is we want. But here's another thing, and I know that, and this, actually, I'll get to this because I'll go to the question that you asked in the last, and I'm going to answer, how do you go out and get clients organically when you don't have a big budget? So I know that that's a question you have, so I'll answer that later. But as far as how do you brand your business, go into the portal and check out that training that I just mentioned, and I give you all the detail you need of what it is that you've got to figure out. But it starts with understanding your strategy. The whole goal when we first start our business is we've got to figure out what product or service we offer. We've got to be able to explain it in a way that gets somebody interested, and then we have to use our sales skills in order to move them to a buying decision that results in a yes to hiring us. And that's a process that takes time to learn how to do all those types of things, okay? But since your question on this one is specifically about branding, that's where I would go on that. And get into my next Zoom on branding, and maybe I can add a little bit more context, okay? Hope that helps, man. Okay, the next question comes from Brandon. And Brandon says, when is the opportune time to seek investors to grow my business further? And the background is, and just like Gary, I think Brandon's going to take second place for the longest background. The background is, I operate an e-commerce order fulfillment warehouse. The end of 2021 will be our third complete year in business. Year one, revenue was $86,000. No employees, operated as a sole proprietor. Year two, revenue was $236,000. Added 2 full-time order processes during the last 2 months. Year three, projected to close 2021 at $500,000 in revenue. 2 full-time employees until September, now 3 full-time and 2 part-time employees. Part-time employees may cease after Q4. The e-commerce space is massive. We are considered a micro 3PL in Canada, but this revenue has been obtained solely by word of mouth and our website being found online. Zero marketing has been completed. I have grown the business at the pace I could handle at the time and with minimal initial capital injection of funds by myself personally. I am a retired federal government employee. All growth thus far has been funded from within. The business is there. There are numerous e-commerce companies looking to expand their footprint in Canada, but we continue to outgrow our facility, which halts our growth. We have moved twice in 3 years. I've been hesitant to take on any larger warehouse space until the revenue justifies the overhead. The goal after this Q4 is to start developing an on-site day manager to free me up further from the day-to-day operations, and also to explore options to step the business up into a larger operation. My question pertains to the right time to seek an investor capital to take the next step. If I had funding to move to a larger facility that would accommodate us longer than 1 year, hire additional support staff, build a management structure, acquire the needed equipment to operate and fit up the warehouse, and then develop a marketing strategy to target higher volume e-commerce sellers. I feel we could become a very reputable company in Canada, or I could just continue to slow grow the company at the pace it's been doing so far, but that's not my goal. I'd love to build this out into 7 figures and beyond operations so that I can become the business owner and not so much the self-employed worker. Thanks so much for the opportunity to seek guidance on this. Okay, fantastic. So I'd like to point out, this is perfect. Year one, I'm by myself, I do $86,000. Year two, I'm doing really well, but I have to hire 2 more people because I'm getting too busy, and my revenue went up to $236,000 so I can handle it. Natural progression. Year three, I have 2 full-time employees and a couple part-time, and I'm at $500,000. That's the right trajectory. So the question that you're asking here, Brandon, is you got a little bit backwards. There's no wrong or right way that you could tackle this right now. If you have access to somebody who has money that trusts you and is a good friend, which you're probably only going to convince a friend to invest in your business at this juncture, because the business is so new and you're still new into this, that getting any stranger investor to give you $500,000 or more probably isn't going to happen. So it would probably have to be a friend, or even somebody that you could go into business with. And somebody you might want to talk to is Todd Ferguson. Is going to be a mentor this in 2022 here in AO. But get with Shirley and say, hey, Shirley, Shawn mentioned to me to get in touch with Todd to figure out how he was able to grow his 3PL business. And he's in some collaboration and partnership and a group of e-commerce people. And Todd might be able to bring you into the fold of that to help you grow. But here's the thing. You could go slow and continue to grow. If you hit 500,000 this year, then it's natural that you should hit $1 million this year. What you want to do is determine, based on the facility that you've got right now, are you running 3 shifts, meaning that operation is open 24 hours a day with 3 shifts, or are you only running 1 shift or 2 shifts? Because remember, you have a facility. The facility could run 24 hours a day. FedEx doesn't just run 1 shift 9 to 5 and everybody goes home and comes back the next day. They have multiple shifts and people work different types of hours, and that those machines, the warehouse, the boxing, the pulling, all that is happening 24 hours a day. Are you working? Is your business working 24 hours a day? Something that you might be able to do is double your business simply by doubling the production out of the existing facility that you have by extending hours. You didn't put that in here, but that'd be my first question to you. If you are fully maxed out running that facility 24 hours a day with current staff, which I don't think with the current staff you have, you could be running it 24 hours because 2 full-time, 2 part-time, that's not really enough for a 24-hour business because I've had a 24-hour business before. I think there's a chicken and the egg. I would rather max out that facility till it's just bursting at the seams. I mean, bursting at the seams. I would make sure that I hired consultants like Joel Gondera, who is here in the mentorship group. He's a mentor. He is probably one of the most highest level warehouse management gurus in the world, literally. And I would look to hire someone like Joel and do some remote, maybe videos of your warehouse and get some feedback from Joel. Invest a few $1,000s getting Joel to consult with you so that maybe he can help you get higher efficiencies and productivity out of your existing facilities, which is a big thing. All of these things could boost not only top line, but profit in your business, create cash flow that you could then use to start projecting in a spreadsheet, projecting cash flow in order to understand what type of new debt you could pay to expand into a larger facility. That's what I would do if I was going to start weighing how to bring additional capital in my business. The first place I want to go is inside my business. Increase productivity, increase efficiency, increase cash flow. So take all this feedback, ask another question. Let me know if you want to meet Joel, or if this evokes another question from you. Okay. Thanks, Brandon. Glad to have you in AO, brother. Make sure you do your Flex Fridays. Okay. And make sure you've got the mobile app. Okay. Next question comes from my man, Quaid. And Quaid says, how do you gauge which tasks or skills you should learn or delegate? The background is, I am the most effective and in-depth construction company on the planet. I intend to have divisions in every avenue of construction. This entails having our team involved in start of the process to the end, manufacturing to installation. I need to build a team to accomplish this. However, I am solo right now and wonder how I choose which tasks I should learn and which I should delay until I have a larger structure. I ask this because I need to be precise which steps I take to accomplish this as fast as we sustainably can. Thank you. Okay. When I'm a solopreneur and I'm doing everything by myself, I want to get it to where I am working so much that all my hair is falling out or it's turning gray and I am just needing sleep, and I'm getting into sleep deprivation because I have so much business. And if I can do everything that my customer wants all by myself, then that's great. The first place I want to look when I get to that point in my business is, where is my time as the business owner and as an employee of my company? Because I'm also an employee. I have a job to do in my company as a worker. Where is my time best suited for highest profitability in the company? And then I want to chart out on a whiteboard, I want to chart out all of the different tasks that I do as a business owner. Okay, so I'm a salesperson first. So I go out and I bid on a project and I get that business. Now, I get the business. Now I have an administrative hat that says, okay, I need to bill the person and get a deposit. So I need to understand how to do that. Then I need to be a project manager or an account executive, and I need to meet with the client and chart out a scope of work with projected milestones, with timelines attached to those milestones of how we're going to do the project. Then I have to put my worker hat on and go actually start performing all of the different services to fulfill the project, right? That's where I would first look at. If there's enough business coming in and I can handle doing the administrative stuff for a while, I would look at delegating out some of the actual labor. Even though that's more expensive than the administrative part, that's where the money is made, and I want to focus my time and attention on driving more cash flow and finishing projects as fast as possible, because if I'm charging 50% up front or 75% up front, but I don't get the rest until after the job is done, I want to get the job done as fast as possible. I want to focus on bringing in people so I can get the job done as fast as possible. So Quaid, you and I have spoken about this. It's about, okay, maybe I'm going to focus on one specific type of construction area right now, that I have a Rolodex of subcontractors that I can subcontract out to, and I can do the work. And when I get a job, I put a post out to all the subcontractors and say, got a job, it lasts 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is. Here is the pay per hour. Whoever, give me a call or text me if you have time and want to be and get on this project. Okay, then you're going to have to facilitate how to get them to show up on time, do the work, pay them how you pay them, whether it's daily or weekly or whatever it might be, get the quality of work you want out of them and so forth. But that's where I would go first, is how can I drive, what in my business drives cash flow the most and the fastest. Then when I have more cash flow, I can use that to outsource or delegate any and all of the administrative work that I can, which can free up that time so I can maybe sleep more, or I can be working on the business a little more, right? And so that's kind of focus on sales first, delivering the products and services to get paid second, delegate to admin third. That's where I would go. I'm going to get this question to a few more mentors and hope that they can give you some insight with their opinion and experiences as well, okay? Okay, next question comes from Quaid, and Quaid says, we got a bunch from Quaid coming up. We have a bunch of questions from Quaid coming up. He left the October event filled with, oh my gosh, I got so much to think about, and I love it. Okay, this question from Quaid says, how do you remain patient with your goals? I am the most effective and in-depth construction company on the planet. I am curious about the methods people use to remain patient and focused on goals. I want to accomplish a lot with my company. However, my mind wants to get it all done tomorrow. I feel like my sense of urgency is what drives me to always improve. On the flip side, I may be doing myself a disservice by being so scattered. Thank you. Okay, so the cool thing about setting down goals is with goals, we set a timeline to the goal. So for instance, with Accelerator's organization, I want to get to 1,000 members as fast as possible. And this year, I spent over $50,000 on marketing and got zero return. You talk about being frustrated, spending $50,000 on agencies and other things and getting zero return. It was very, very frustrating. But it was a goal of mine. And my goal was that I hope to get to 1,000 members by spending all of this money. But that meant that that was the goal. Now I had to figure out what was the tasks and activities that I could do in order to try and achieve that goal. And the only way that I could do with this, since I'm not an advertising and marketing expert, is I said, okay, well, my task is I have to hire some agencies and give it time and let it happen. And so, yes, it's very difficult to relinquish control and let other people be responsible for the business, especially when you get zero results. It really sucks. But that just means that the timeline that I had for my goal, which was December 31st of this year, it just means that my timeline is going to be adjusted. This is part of business and life. There are some things that we just can't control. So I tried something, gave it an opportunity. It did not work. Now I go back to the drawing board and I say, okay, what are other ways that I can use in order to achieve the goal? My goal is still there. That hasn't changed, but now I'm obviously going to have to change the timeline. And then I have to change what activities and what steps I got to take in order to try to get to the goal. I'm constantly moving those steps and actions. I'm moving those forward, and I'm setting a timeline. It's a little bit different when you can control the actions as opposed to delegating or outsourcing. But in order to remain patient, that's just a mindset thing, right? I don't focus every day on that particular goal because I set the goal, I delegate. So what I do is I go and then do the rest of the things that I need to do in my business. So the way to remain patient is going to sound kind of weird, but the way to remain patient is to remain patient. Know that the activities that are needing to be done are being done on a daily basis. When we set the goal, we may or may not have a realistic timeline of when we're going to achieve that goal. Only experience and time is going to help us better understand the realistic timelines that it would take to achieve certain goals. I might be 22 years old and go, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 25. Well, after I get a year and a half into it, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 25. That doesn't mean that I stop and give up on being a millionaire. It just means that I adjust my timeline because the experience that I had and the intuition and goal drive that I had in the beginning of setting that goal, I didn't understand what was realistic as far as becoming a millionaire by the time I was 25. So I just adjust the timeline, but keep the goal. And then I always know that I am doing certain steps and activities in order to keep moving me towards that goal. Okay? Hope that helps. You also could try some meditation. There's lots of different things we can do to calm ourselves. We all have, there's an infinite amount of ways to calm ourselves. Okay, the next question comes from Quaid. And Quaid says, are side hustles a distraction to our main business? The background: Sturdy Contracting Company is the most effective and in-depth construction company on the planet. We offer the most in-house services on the market. I keep doing market research on tasks outside of my regular scope. I am okay with this as I love to learn. However, countless mentors preach to focus on a niche. I am bad at this one as I consider my niche to be the entire building assemblies. I feel like I may be making excuses for not staying focused by lying to myself that it's relevant info to learn. How do you choose a set group of knowledge to obtain? Thank you. Okay. To answer your main question, are side hustles a distraction? Anything that would take me away from my core business that I'm using to become or to reach my goals, whatever those goals might be, to be financially independent, to build a $5 million business, whatever it might be, anything that takes me away from that is a distraction. It just is. But that doesn't mean that our business has to be the only thing that we do in our life. We can still have hobbies and personal interests. And if your hobby is a side hustle where you help somebody do something and it's just fun and it energizes you, then hey, then it's not a distraction. Maybe that's just great for your mental awareness and what have you. But generally speaking, yes, anything that distracts us from our core business that we want to use to reach our goals is a distraction and should be avoided. But should be is all dependent on you and what you want to do with your life. But if I know that my main focus is to build a multi-million-dollar construction business, I want all my time and attention going into that. I don't want to be, teaching about changing tires. I'm really good at changing tires. I'm going to teach people on the weekend how to change tires really fast. I'm just using it as an example, obviously. But so yes, it is a distraction. When you get to the last part here, you say, how do you choose a set group of knowledge to obtain? I think that the way you could look at it is like this, Quade. Let's say, for instance, you can do drywall, but you can also do tile, and you can do kitchen repair, and you can do this. The bottom line is when you are billing out, when you're putting together a bid for a construction job, you are billing out hours, especially if you're the only person. So you would look at, what are the hours that I work in a day? If I work from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, that is 10 hours. I take an hour lunch, and I'm just using this as a number. So let's say I work and I bill out 9 hours a day. And I look at each of those hours as like a little cell. And I know that my income per hour is $100, which means that's $900 a day is what I make. 900 times 5 is 4,500. I want to make sure that I am bidding on jobs that get me the most amount of money per the hour that I can work. For instance, if you were going to take a job where somebody just wanted you to change out some light bulbs in your house, they may or may not pay you $100 an hour, as though you were going to rip down this wall and rebuild it and get $200 per hour. If it were me, I would take a look at what are the highest paying jobs per hour, since it's just me, that I can use to fill up my schedule. And so that I'm not doing, low wage labor when I could be doing high wage labor. Now, the caveat to that is knowing that I've got, let's just say 50 hours a week that I can bill out. I don't want any of those hours to not be billed out. So if I don't have a high paying job for all 50 hours, then I'll have 30 hours of high paying and 20 hours of lower paying until the higher paying jobs come out and I kick out the lower paying ones and no longer get any more lower paying ones because I have a waiting list for the high paying, right? And then I want to get the higher paying jobs so that I can then hire subcontractors. So if I bill out $200 an hour, but I can hire a subcontractor for $100 an hour because my company's that much better, and I can bill higher because my salesmanship is so good, and I can bill it out at $100. Now that hour I'm still getting $100 for that hour that the subcontractor's working. And so if I take a low wage job that's 50, I'm still making 150 as opposed to the 50. So I want to look at all of my blocks of time as time that can get billed to make cash flow. And then when it gets filled up, I start subcontracting and bringing more subcontractors in at a lower rate to do the work. And then I keep doing the work and my income goes up exponentially until at some point I have enough subcontractors billing out so many hours that I can remove myself from the equation and then just manage the subcontractors and all of my administrative staff. And that is the pinnacle of being in the position of working on the business. And every business is different as to how long that takes, but we want to accelerate to that pinnacle as fast as possible. Could be a year, could be 2 years, could be 3 years. Maybe it's 4 years, doesn't matter. But we want to be working towards that pinnacle. Hope that helps. Okay, the next question comes from Quade. How do you approach the psychology of raises? The background is I am the leader of Sturdy Contracting Company, the most detail-oriented construction company on the planet. I am curious how people structure employee raises. I would like to give my team a clear outline for each position and show what steps they can take to get a raise. I am unsure if this would be done by attaching percentage raises for time with company, dollar raises for each additional responsibility taken on, or a combination of both. I want to treat my team super well. However, I don't want it being a double-edged sword where they feel capped for growth. I also thought about an incentive bonus for my original crew. My concept is this, is if someone stays with the crew while we reach milestones like 250, 500 million, they can obtain a small % raise each time as well. I need to make this system so they have room to grow while making it structured enough that it cannot be abused. Thanks. Okay. Raises. Within each specific job, career, position in the company, whatever we want to call it, there is let's just call it a salary compensation range among the industry. And what we can do is determine what that range is. Like if I am a bookkeeper at a small business, the average range is going to be from here to here, depending on how generous the employer is. If I work in a large CPA firm, then the pay range for a bookkeeper might be here to here, depending on the range, right? If I am working at McDonald's and I am working the cash register, then the range is here to here, right? And I want to understand that range. So I want to look at the industry for the range for each specific job description that I am filling for my company, and know that, and then decide as a business owner, where do I want to fall in that range? Because if you're saying you want to really motivate and keep people, you might pay on the higher range, but then you want to match that so that you're getting the output of a higher ranged caliber individual, which means you've got to understand that position so well to know whether you're getting minimum range output or higher range output from the person that you're hiring, right? So you want to make sure you line up output versus what you are paying, right? So the place to look is industry-wise. Now, here's another thing. Remember what you learned at the October event, that the number one thing that employees want is not money. They also want recognition. This is, hey, great job. Employee of the month. Public announcement that John did an amazing job. They want recognition from their managers and from their bosses. That's the number one thing. Praise and recognition. Remember that. Don't discount it. Remember, as leaders, we want to be empathetic to the people that we're leading. Even though we may be more motivated by money and financial success, which is why we became a business owner, the mindset of most team members is they want to love their job, and for them to love their job, they want to be paid accordingly, but they want praise and recognition. In the leadership section, in the resource center, in the portal, there's a ton of leadership articles. I would highly recommend that you go through those. Those are actually leadership articles that we give out at the leadership retreat that we do here throughout the year. And becoming a better leader, once you start to get 2-3 team members, it's the difference between making $1 million and $5 million possibly. Okay, so that's where I would look. Industry standards for raises, and then take overall compensation plan into play, because it's not just money. You got time off, you have the vacation time, sick time, you have monthly dinners, annual dinners, continuing education, maybe paying for their licensing, buying tools for them. There's a lot of different things that you could be offering your team that are in addition to money that might not cost you as much as money. Okay, so look to those types of things for overall compensation package. Okay, all right. Next question comes from Quaid. And Quaid says, how do you balance honesty and giving out too much info? The background is, I am the leader of Sturdy Contracting Company, the most in-depth construction company on the planet. I'm curious where to draw the line of being honest with subcontractors, clients, suppliers, etc. I believe honesty is the best way to approach situations. However, I feel as if I complicate situations by providing unnecessary details. I think it's rooted in a desire to educate clients, but feel as though I am wasting energy. Oh, I like this one because my mind Excuse me. So one of the things that we learn in personal development is how to control the awareness in our brain. This is a sidetrack here, but really control the awareness in our brain when people are talking. There's a term that's becoming more popular called triggered. It's where somebody's triggering us, and usually triggered means negative, but in this situation, it triggered a positive emotion in my brain that my brain went to when I was listening to you say. Sometimes I'm wanting to educate my clients. So I think about, and I talked to Nick about this because he's an HVAC company, and I have an HVAC company here in Nashville that I call. And if I'm having an issue with my heating in my living room, and I know that I know now over time that I have a heating unit specific for my living room. Well, sometimes the technicians will come out and they want to spend 15 minutes explaining to me everything about this damn unit, and I'm going, A, you're speaking Greek to me because I have no idea what a unit does, and B, I just want you to fix it. I don't need to be a HVAC expert. I just want it to be 75 degrees in my living room in the winter. So there is a balance, and this comes with really good training. This comes with good communication skills. Communication skill is listening, understanding body language, reading people so that you know that if you're dealing with somebody who's highly analytical and they were asking you questions about all of the detail, then you would know that that person's wanting that. But if you get somebody like me that's in the middle of something and I'm sitting on my couch working on my computer and you want to come bother me with all the details of everything you're doing, you want to recognize that, okay, just tell me how much it costs and go ahead and do and I'll make a decision and move on. This comes with communication skills over time of learning how to read people, personalities, all those types of things. There are so many different types of personalities out there, and as salespeople and as business leaders, we not only have to understand the personalities and dynamics of the people on our team, but we have to also understand the vendors, subcontractors, customers like you're talking about. So we want to customize the way that we deliver our communication to the way that we're going to get the most out of the conversation with that person. So there's no one size fits all, if you will. It's infinite, and it's all dependent on the person in which you're having the dialogue with. Okay, I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for, because it'd be nice if there was a one size fits all, but that is the answer. And over time, as you develop your communication skills, you'll start to read somebody and say, oh, that person doesn't want to hear anything else. I need to stop, ask them if they need anything else, and then move on. Saves you time as well, which time is money, so it saves everybody aggravation. All right, I hope that helps. Okay, next question comes from Gary Robinson, and Gary says, should I keep my Facebook business page? The background is, hey, Shawn and gang, I have a Facebook business page with over 850 followers. It's called Action It Health and Wellness Coaching, which I want to change, by the way. I now just call my business Gary Robinson Coaching. I am restricted from doing anything on this page at the moment due to the account being inactive, and it's not allowed to advertise either. I tried contacting Facebook a bunch of times, but nothing came back. Should I keep using this account, or do I keep posting all my content on my personal page, as I've been using this for my business and content for some time now? I don't have any personal stuff on my personal account. I have 2.1 thousand friends there. Should I just get rid of the Facebook business page altogether, or keep using it and update the banner in my bio, etc., if I'm even allowed to do it? Okay, so if Facebook lets you change your business page, then change the business page. And I would start to do a little bit more on your business page, because there's a lot of different analytics and things you can do on a business page that you can't do on a Facebook page. I would have to look into that more to really give you more information on that. But if you can't do anything with it, yes, I would just go ahead and close out the business page. I don't know how difficult it is to close out a business page. Facebook makes it really difficult sometimes to delete and remove accounts and pages and profiles and so forth. So yes, I would. Also, I notice that you're really pointing out the attention of the number of followers or the number of friends. I would focus on engagement, because I have 150 friends on Facebook, but I get like 80 or so engagements when I post on Facebook, which means people are there. The ones that I choose to have as friends on Facebook, these are people that are really tuned in to using Facebook and want to see what I have to say, and they engage and they support me. When I had 5,000, maybe the numbers were a little bit higher, but the percentage was drastically different. And so I've learned to focus less on the total number of followers or friends or audience, and really focus on what are the results that I'm getting from the content that I'm putting out and the business that I'm receiving in the form of clients. The top line is not always the most indicative number that we want to look at. Okay, so that's food for thought. So in the hierarchy of a social media follower or just a social media audience member, here's kind of the value ladder. You got the person who views your post, but doesn't like or comment and doesn't even follow you, but they view it, which happens. People sometimes will view a viral post because they see it in like the Explorer page, or they're just kind of messing around on social media. So they viewed it, and you might get a lot of views, but that doesn't mean that's providing much value to you other than a view, right? And that's not money in your pocket. Then you got the person that views and actually engages. So they might like something or comment, and that has a little bit more value than them just viewing it. Then you've got the person that is actually a follower. So a person who follows you, but they might not like or view it, but they are following you, which means they're got a little bit of vested interest in there. They're kind of dipping their toes to determine whether or not they like you. Then you've got the follower who actually likes and engages with your stuff, and that's more value. Then you've got the follower who actually does some of your call to actions. Maybe clicks the link in your bio, maybe clicks on a website, maybe sends you a direct message, maybe downloads a lead magnet and you get their email address, and that has a lot more value. And then the ultimate pinnacle is, of course, somebody who actually becomes a customer. And so that's kind of the value stack. And this is kind of like a sales funnel. The more people you have here, the more you can keep moving them up that value ladder until they become a customer. So there's always a certain amount of need to put out content that brings people in, content that people continue to appreciate, content that gets people to take action, and then content that gets people to buy from you. And if you follow my Ask a Millionaire account on Instagram, you see I do that a lot. I do some just to create great engagement. It's controversial, it's fun, it gets people arguing in the comments section. And it drives up engagement. It brings people from the outside world that might not know me into my Ask a Millionaire page. And then they go, oh, well, this is kind of fun. Let me take a look at a couple of his other posts and see if I want to follow this guy. So to answer your question, I would keep the Facebook page. If you can, do something with it. If you can't, close it down and start a new Facebook page for your new business name. All right? Hope that helps. Okay. The next question comes from Jenny, and Jenny says, what takes priority in spending wisely for growth in sales starting out as a full-time business owner? The background is as of November 1st, I am a full-time entrepreneur and focused on growing my yin yoga and sound healing business with limited funds as I am starting out. I need guidance on how best to invest in the growth of my business, Zen Soul Balance. With the holidays just around the corner, I want to capitalize on opportunities by offering unique experiences for groups and businesses in the San Diego area and beyond. My challenge is reaching a broader spectrum of people. I'm reaching out to event planners, joining organizations, and networking as much as possible, and I also feel the need to advertise. What takes priority in spending? Online social media ads. I've tried this in the past and have found it to be ineffective. What are your thoughts on this? Local newspaper, magazine ads for exposure, Groupon deals, sales training with a mentor, or other suggestions, I'd love to hear. Thank you so much. Okay. In this stage of business, and congratulations on becoming a full-time entrepreneur, so proud of you. In this stage, the first thing I want to do as a business owner is I want to clearly identify where my best sources of clients are. And that's where I want to focus my attention. So in the beginning, I want to have a shotgun approach, and I want to I want to blast out a lot in a short period of time, and then see who I hit, see who comes in from those different efforts. So I want to do all the things you're talking about. I want to go network, and I want to go to event planners. I want to join organizations and network, and I want to get the word out. But I constantly want to make sure that I've got the right pitch so that I'm meeting people, but I'm clearly making sure people know that I am there to find people that want what I have to offer. And one of the great things you can do is in building relationships with other people to where either they do business with you or they send business to you, is to do business with them or send business to them. That's a valuable part of networking, is if you bring value to somebody else, unless they're a complete piece of crap, they're going to feel a little bit obligated to go, wow, Jenny is bringing me a little bit of business. I need to see if I can find somebody to bring Jenny some business, or I can bring Jenny some business. It's the art of reciprocity, okay? Online social media ads, I would say, and I don't want to get into too much detail, but I would say no, because it's very complex, it's very expensive. You need a complete strategy. You're going to need some additional consulting people and an agency of some sort to help you with that, so I wouldn't put money there. Local newspaper, magazine ads for exposure. If you have a strong enough brand and you have a strong enough event or something like that that you can promote, and you're specifically promoting an event, absolutely. I always think in the lifestyle business like yours, it can't hurt to place some ads in some fitness and lifestyle magazines where you think that your ideal clients would be residing and reading. And if your advertisement is strong enough and compelling enough that somebody will go, oh my God, I'm going to go hit this person's website, and your website is strong enough that it's going to entice somebody to download a lead magnet so that they can start to develop a relationship of trust with you to come to events, those types of things, then yes, I think that it cannot hurt to get out there into some of the very specialized magazines that you believe that your target market would be hanging around, okay? And then lastly, I believe that every business owner does need to be a great salesperson. You've been in sales, well, not in sales, but you've been in the corporate world for a long time. Tom Black charges $1,000 a month for sales training, and you get a lot more than just sales training with Tom. And I couldn't recommend that everybody that's a business owner work with Tom. I couldn't recommend it enough. I also want to be conscientious to people's budgets as well, because it is $1,000 per month. But I would look inside your business like we talked about, and I would figure out how you're going to create cash flow as quickly as possible. Remember, you're now an instructor too. So it doesn't have to just be you being an instructor for your own business to start driving cash flow, because every time you go teach a yoga class at another person's facility, people get to know you, you get to promote your company, and that's lead generation in addition to cash flow generation. Don't underestimate the value of that. Remember, look at your time, your profitability time, your revenue generating time, and say, I need to fill those hours up as fast as possible so that every week I have cash flow generating activities happening for clients, okay? So do you make more money if you do a group class charging people $20 and there's 10 people and that's $200? Or do you do better with one-on-one training where you only make $100? Or is it a combination of both? But remember to get out there by you working as an instructor in different places. You're going to meet a lot of people. Something tells me that instinctually would be one of your best lead generation for Zen Soul Balance. But I do like your idea of calling on companies so that they can do retreats and when they do conventions and when they do those types of things. So if you could put together a really compelling package specifically for event planners that they can resell your services and build in some money for the event planner, because they like to make a commission on things that they sell. They want to upsell it. I think that's a great path too. And I think that would be something you'd want to really master the pitch and the scripts through working with somebody like Tom. Okay. It's a lot of information that I'm throwing at you here, but you're on the right path. But my goal in sharing all these ideas with you is to evoke other thoughts that make you say, and maybe have an aha moment. So I'm just throwing out a bunch of different darts to you to see which one hits the bullseye. Okay, the next question comes from Yathus, and Yathus says, at what point in the sales process is it best to disclose how much you charge for your services? Background, I was sharing with a potential client on a sales call the DE&I services I provide, such as cultural intelligence training and consultation, but I also provide coaching in the area. She appeared to be excited about the coaching service I shared, what I do, and then she asked me how much do I charge. I was not quite prepared to answer the question with confidence, unfortunately, so I need help in this area. Thank you. Well, I think that the bottom line is the fact that now that you have received the question, now you get to take a step back and say, okay, what is the best way to answer this question, right? Because as salespeople, we want to be prepared for every single piece of feedback, question, or comment that a prospect will say in order to put together a well-rehearsed response that seems like it's conversational, but it's already scripted out and can be delivered conversationally but professional in order to move the prospect into the buying zone to purchase from us, right? Now that you know that question exists, that's going to spark you to put together a good response. So put together a good response. No matter how much a salesperson wants to control the sales process, sometimes a customer is gonna control it and just move us to different parts of the sales funnel themselves, and we have to be prepared for that. So if somebody says, well, how much do you charge? I'm making this up. Tom has it really well rehearsed because he's as a sales professional coach. Mr. Jones, I appreciate I appreciate that you want to understand how much it costs. In order to determine how much it costs, I really need to determine if they're, what it is that you're looking for, so that I can put together, the right proposal for what you need. So then we go back into the discovery phase, asking questions. So I'm not expert at this, and this is coming on real quick. So if it were me in my business, I would know how to best answer that for my business. But now that, like I said, now that you know, I'm looking at your background here. Now that you know that question is going to be asked, it does make sense to go ahead and put together a well-rehearsed response. So here's my advice. The next Zoom meeting that Tom Black does on the 4 pillars training that we do each month, I would make sure, and I'm going to send out a mobile app announcement of when each mentor is going to do their 4 pillars Zoom each month. I would make sure that you do everything you can to be on the Zoom with Tom and ask him this exact question. I'm going to get this to him so he answers it. But sometimes when we are answering questions here as a mentor session, you want to be able to have some dialogue and go, but what about this? What about this? What about this? And because this is one way, me just answering questions, there's no dialogue going back and forth. If you get on the Zoom, there can be dialogue. Okay. And that's why the value of those Zooms is so valuable to you, because you can actually have back and forth conversation with us. And I would ask that question. Now listen, also as it relates to your question, if you have not put together a clearly articulated pitch and sales presentation for the products and services that you offer, Tom actually does one-on-one consultation for our members for $500, and he will help you craft your scripts and answers to the most commonly asked questions and objections for $500. Every single AO member should do that with Tom, because it's so valuable. You're out there pitching your business every day. Why wouldn't you want to use the right words and the right strategy to close deals to make more money, right? Because every opportunity is a chance to close a deal. And so I just think that anybody that knows exactly what they have to sell and offer, they should be clearly articulating their sales pitch and getting their answers to objections done, and working with Tom on that. I've seen it, and he's awesome. Okay, next question comes from Mr. Joe Nugent. And Joe says, how do I figure out how much I can pay someone for a sales position that is salary plus commission? The background is I own a home inspection company. I'm adding an outside business development position and unsure how much I can afford to pay them with a salary plus bonus. Okay, fantastic. I love this one. If you go into, well, actually, no, that one's not going to work. So let me think about this one. Okay, so my first response to this is we have to know what our margin from a percentage and a cash flow is on the products and services that we offer as a company. We also have to then learn to project a little bit that if I bring in this person from a sales and business development role, and that's going to bring more sales into my business, then I can calculate, okay, is it a 15% difference? Is it a 50%? Is it 100%? Right? And I want to create an Excel spreadsheet that projects all of these different pieces of data, additional top line, margin, etc., so that I can then begin to play with the numbers of what my budget is for how much I'm going to pay somebody. Now, with that said, I also want to take a look at the industry compensation ranges for this particular job, because it's not necessarily about what we can afford. It's what is required from an industry perspective to be able to get somebody to take the job and work for us. Because if I say, hey, listen, my budget is $25,000 a year and I'm wanting to hire a business development person, and the range for a business development person that's, let's just say even not even beginner, but intermediate, then the salary range is $45,000 to $55,000. It doesn't matter what my budget is. I ain't going to be able to pay that person, right? So I want to match what the industry standard is and then figure out what do I got to do to meet that industry standard of range, and where as an owner do I want to fall in that range. The higher I get from the range that I'm going to pay somebody means that I want the higher level people as well that is going to have higher level productivity in my business. And that's really important, right? So that's the answer that I would give to you of how much you can pay a salesperson. And then remember, like we learned in the leadership event in October, pay comes in a lot of different ways. It's not just money. It's paid time off for sick or vacation. It's recognition in the form of plaques and trophies. It could be you taking people out to dinner once a week, once a month, doing an annual event where you take everybody on a 1-week vacation around the world on a 90-foot yacht. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could do that increase the overall tangible compensation to your team member. Don't just think that it's just about money, okay? All right, the next question comes from Robin, and Robin says, in general, how much time do you recommend allowing for scrolling through Facebook and Instagram? The background is Art for Calm is working towards unwavering focus. Okay, so listen. How much time somebody does in their free time and what activities somebody does in their free time is at the sole discretion of the person. There is no set amount of time that any person should tell somebody else that you should only spend this much time on Facebook and Instagram scrolling and having fun. Because maybe that's your way of relaxing and meditating instead of watching TV or reading a book or going and exercising or sleeping or hanging out with friends or whatever it might be. So that's 100% at the discretion of the person that has excess time outside of work, right? What I want to focus on in my life, so this is just me experience sharing, what I want to focus on is, am I achieving the goals that I have set for myself in all areas of my life? And if I am overachieving in all areas of my life and I have excess time and I feel like just sitting on the couch and scrolling through Facebook and Instagram for 3 hours, it's my life. I'm going to live it the way that I want to. And no matter if David Goggins wants to say, what are you doing sitting on the couch when you could be running a marathon? I'll be like, you know what, David, I am over exceeding in all areas of my life. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. You go run a marathon if that's what you like to do with your spare time. I'll choose what I want to do with my spare time. That's the way I look at it. Okay? So I think the answer is, as long as you are achieving what you're wanting to achieve in your life, Robin, then what you do with your excess time is at your discretion. On the flip side, are you truly achieving as much as you can or want to? Because sometimes somebody might evoke in us an emotion to go, gosh, I am achieving what I want, but I sure did set the bar really low. Like I said, I wanted to make 40,000 this year. Why am I not saying I want to make 100,000? Which is going to make me do a lot more work that might give me a lot less free time, but I'm going to make a lot more money, and that's where I'd rather position myself. So am I challenging myself enough, or am I staying in a comfort zone? So that's kind of the flip side of this. So I would take that into consideration as well. If you're accomplishing all your goals and you're still scrolling Facebook and Instagram for 6 hours a day, might be a thing to look at to see are you getting the most out of your life? Okay. Hope that helps. Okay. The next question comes from Allison Koyanagi. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The next question comes from Jenny Dawson. And Jenny says, how do I structure payment for traveling events? The background is I'm a yoga teacher and trainer and sound practitioner and have been asked to lead training and events outside of my local area. How do you suggest I structure pricing? Thanks so much. By the way, you are all awesome, and I'm so grateful for your support and guidance. Awesome. Okay. Well, the first thing we want to figure out in providing any type of product or service for somebody, whether it's in local or outside, is we want to figure out what our cost is to deliver what it is they want. So for instance, let's say that you were going to put on your 3-hour yin yoga sound healing event in Texas. I would need to go, okay, what equipment do I need to bring? Am I going to have to ship it? And if so, how much is it going to cost for me to buy the boxes and everything it's going to take to ship all that equipment? How much is it going to take to ship it, receive it, to get it delivered, all that stuff to where I am. I want to take into consideration my travel to get there. So do I want to build in first class travel or economy? And what's the price of the plane ticket? Or am I going to drive, and how much is my time worth driving, and how much is the gas and wear and tear on my vehicle going to be? Then am I going to have to stay the night or 2 nights? Because if I'm going to do a 9 to 12 o'clock workshop, I probably want to get there at least the day before so I can be well rested from travel and wake up nice and early, rested. And then after I get done, I want to be able to break down and then have a nice relaxing night and stay the night and then head back the next day. So I need to build in that cost. And then I want to say the cost of my 90-minute workshop class that's already set. That doesn't matter if I'm doing it locally or somewhere else, right? Because if I'm doing that workshop, there's a structured price for that, right? Then as it relates to travel outside, I would say there's a lot of mental and physical additional things that you have to do in order to travel to deliver your services. And I would think there would be, for me, I know that most of the people that do this, they charge a little bit more just because of all of the time and preparation and strategic things that go into just making it all happen. And so I want to build in a cost for that as well. So at the end of the day, if I collect $10,000 in my normal 90-minute in San Diego where I live, I would charge, I don't know where I was just going with that. If I charge $10,000, I take out all my costs. This is my plane ticket, transportation, shipping, packaging, time and aggravation of having to do it all, the cost that I would normally charge, and this is that extra that I would make just for traveling to do it. So hope that helps. That's kind of how I would mentally go through what I'm doing to do an out of geography type of situation. Hope that helps. Okay. The next question comes from Allison Koyanagi. And Allison says, how do you get leads to call or email you back about scheduling a call to discuss their needs and how you can help them? The background is I am a digital marketing agency. I've been running some great lead funnels for our business and have been flooded with leads. Unfortunately, I haven't had much success with getting these leads to email or call me back to schedule a complimentary 30-minute consultation to better assess their needs and how we can help them. In my email, I leave a Calendly link to book a call, and in my calls, I clearly explain that we can schedule a time that better fits their needs. I even text them and leave a voicemail if I'm unable to catch them at a good time. I've only had a few good leads book a call with me, but feel like I'm missing out on all the other leads that have come in recently since I can't get them to book a call with me. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Allison. The first thing that comes to me is maybe these are not qualified leads. There are people that go all throughout Costco and they have all these stations set up for food. And just because someone comes by and gets a free chicken nugget doesn't mean that they're a lead to buy your chicken nuggets. It could just be that they're hungry and want a chicken nugget at that time, but they're not going to buy your chicken nuggets because either maybe they're loyal to another brand or they don't really eat chicken that much, but they're hungry right then. So one of the things that marketers these days have a challenge with is they just think that an email list or a phone number and a name is a qualified lead. We want to be able to qualify our leads in order to make sure that we're getting, the best quality leads for our business. Now, sometimes we can't do that unless we actually talk to somebody. So when a lead comes in, when a lead comes in, and I've been having this challenge with Instagram because I run my own Instagram. And when somebody sends me a direct message, I like to respond to that direct message as quickly as possible, because that means they're right there on their phone right then, and I can probably convert that person a lot easier when I know I can reach them right then, right? So if I have a lead come in that says, hey, I'm interested in your services, then I want to call that person immediately after getting that lead because it's top of mind to them. Sometimes we fill out a lead form and then we forget about it and then we go, I wasn't really that interested in it. So the faster that we can talk to somebody when they are impulsed into giving us their information as a lead, that I want to make sure and capitalize on that. So that's one thing that I do. The next thing is that I don't know how you're capturing your leads. I don't know if you're using a lead magnet. I don't know what you're doing, but I would start to look at different things to figure out how to automate some trickle rapport building information. So if I do a lead magnet to get somebody's email address and phone number on, let's say, how to be a good salesperson, right? And so that I can make more money. Then once a week, 2 times a month, 3 times a month, I want to send out an article. And it could be a third-party article of things that salespeople do to make more money. So it might be a great closing technique, information about asking open-ended questions or closed-end questions, or some funny statistic about the sales industry, maybe a funny even video just for entertainment value. And this is called just trickling out information just to stay in front of somebody. I mean, there are times that I have trickled out information to people for 6 months and then they finally, something clicks and then they go, you know what, I need to book a call with Shawn, or I need to join AO. There are people that follow me on Instagram for years, that some post I do, they go, you know what, I've been following you for years and I always said I need to get in your mentorship group. And today was just that day that I'm going to do it. Send me the link. So it's just called trickling out information. That's why I still trickle out information on my Instagram account every day, 3 or 4 times a day. It keeps me in front of them so that someday when they go, oh, you know what, it's time. I need to book a call with Allison. They booked a call with Allison. There are, and I don't know if you have yet worked with Tom yet, Allison, but I am sure that Tom has really strong strategies on how to increase the conversion rates of people returning your phone calls and emails. So I would talk with Tom about that. Okay? All righty. The next question, or was that the last one? That might have been the last question. I think that was the last question. It was. And I will finish this by saying, I think Gary had one more question. So Gary, hopefully some people are going to ask some more questions in the portal today, and I'll be able to get to that last question I know came through, I think, today. But if you need any more info, man, it's coming. Just be patient, and we're there for you, all right? The rest of you, thanks for coming in. Hope you guys had a great time. Andy, what's up? Carrington, Melissa, Vesna, Joe, Marianne. Marianne, are you ever going to do another Flex Friday? We're waiting for you. Siri. And I think that's everybody. Karina. All right. Awesome, awesome. Thanks, guys, girls. I will see you soon. Please go into the portal, ask a question so that we can help you grow your business. That's what we're here for. It's what we love to do. All the mentors are donating their time to do this. They're just sitting around doing absolutely nothing, waiting for you to ask a question. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.